So this is my video against violence. I've met a lot of people who are so frustrated with government that they've turned in a pretty bad direction, and I wanted to address that. You've probably seen some of our videos, why we fight and armed resistance, and you may be wondering, well, what is this then? And if you are wondering that question, you probably need to go ahead and actually watch those videos and read those materials so you understand where we stand. Attacking other people, causing them harm, is not a legitimate form of political protest. It's not productive, it's not constructive. All of the things that we've written are based in the right of self-defense. And, the right of self-defense, Bruce Kaufman wrote an article today in the News Gazette. It's just fantastic about it. This would have been the 11th of March News Gazette, about the Second Amendment. He's not a gun owner, and he's definitely not a violent man by any means. But he mentioned the fact that the right of self-defense goes back to before there were governments, and it has to survive governments. It's a basic right, and that's the kind of use of force that we're talking about, is self-defense use of force. For most of my life, I've been pretty consistently opposed to any kind of violence at all. And it's only recently, when I've seen how bad things are getting in this country and how it's just about entirely on the wrong track, that I'm starting to take a look back at that and reevaluate that and say, hey, in some of these cases, people are just being flat out attacked, and they're being attacked by their government. And it's in cases like that where I think it's effective and it's important for people to begin to defend themselves against that government overreach. I know that some people say, well, you're playing with fire and even advocating that, but the alternative is much worse. And we look back at the 200 children here in Illinois that have died in the last few years in DCFS custody. We look at the thousands of people who are incarcerated for crimes that they didn't commit. We look at the hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been spent on graft, corruption, greed. Could it be any worse? I think it probably is going to get worse if someone doesn't do something, but resistance is not going to be worse than this. It's time for people to stand up for themselves and to take the government back into their own hands and enact some common sense reforms that are never going to happen otherwise. This government's in the hand of the academics. It's in the hand of the Bar Association. It's in the hands of big money, and they don't have the people's best interest at heart. None of them do. These are actually organizations and institutions that are opposed to the best interest of the American people, and they're going to continue to do what they do until they are actually stopped. And by that, we're going back to this idea of armed resistance, which, you need to go back and take a look at that if you don't understand. But, look at the Boston Tea Party. It was limited. It was an act ultimately of self-defense, in that the people's liberties were being trampled by unlawful taxes, and it was an act of remarkable self-restraint, and that's what's needed. Some of these people that I hear from, it's actually very frightening to hear the sort of things that they talk about, and I wish that at one point or another, they could have gotten on a better track, because the things that they're talking about are not productive at all. Let's leave it there. Okay, let's build a good organization that can defend the people from these things, and let that be the basis of returning America to freedom and liberty.